The haircut hate crime was a hoax. Hey, it's Prince of Queens, and I was absolutely livid to learn today that the man who claimed to have been the victim of being attacked with a knife for having what is commonly called the Hitler Youth haircut admitted that it was a hoax. Yep, like all of those supposed hate crimes from a few months ago against Muslims or synagogues, he made the whole thing up. I am annoyed not just because I referred to it in a video yesterday as if it were true, but even further than that, I'm mad at myself for taking the bait because when I first heard about it, I was skeptical, as I saw it as a Facebook viral post before any news outlets reported on it. But then it was reported on, so I believed it. Foolish me. I'm not sure if there's ever been any other incidents of hoaxes regarding crimes supposedly committed by the far left towards citizens who aren't members of the far left or who were randomly mistaken to be Nazis or something, but obviously it's deeply awful to fake such crimes and it discredits everybody who is opposed to violence in any way. Why do you have to fake political violence? You don't. There's countless pieces of video evidence of actual political violence coming from Antifa type people that you can stick to showing individuals if you need something, so it's strategically one of the stupidest moves you can pull to fake it, because there's endless people that want to believe very badly that people who aren't Antifa are the violent ones. I know it makes no sense, but if you spend any time in political discussions on social media, there are countless people claiming that Trump supporters and white nationalists and the right in general are the real violent ones. That being a self-proclaimed anti-fascist makes you one of the good guys, and thus Antifa has basically never done any wrong. This brings yet again up an interesting point regarding the information age, which I have made before, but I want to make again, which is that in the information age, one of the worst crimes that you can commit is lying. Lying over the internet is certainly generally worse than sending threats, in my opinion, because threats almost never lead to anything tangible, and everybody always knows that that's probably the case. But lying has already led to a lot of violence within the past year alone, and arguably some deaths. Furthermore, I had another thought which is only vaguely related, but I wanted to ponder a moment. That is the question of which would you prefer to have in a friend or a family member? Would you prefer that they be a bigot, or would you prefer that they be a liar? Obviously, both things are bad, and both things can be true at once. But when I think about the guy with the supposed Hitler Youth haircut that supposedly got stabbed but made the whole thing up, the allegation was that he must be a horrible racist anti-Semite or whatever, which I wanted to assume was untrue because I hate it when people make such claims based on superficial things like haircuts. But then at the same time, if he were a racist and admitted it, at least he'd be being honest. And I have to say, if he were just somebody who was a racist that didn't necessarily have to make up some hoax about political violence, then pragmatically it might not necessarily hurt anybody, though I personally would try to talk him out of being racist. However, now that I know he's a liar, and a big liar that was willing to broadcast his lies on social media, at this point, I start to instinctually think that maybe he really is some wacky actual bigot who was trying to create a victim narrative to justify his own hatred. Granted, I have no hard evidence for that at this time, but it's just how I instinctually think about liars. At this point in my life, for complicated reasons, I can't just look at somebody that we know is a massive liar and avoid speculating about what exactly is wrong with them that would inspire them to begin lying. And usually, I assume the worst. Obviously, this is not confined to right-wing liars. Often, this is applied to the endless hordes of feminist liars that are out there. I end up wondering who they hate exactly and why they hate them. Do they simply hate men? or white men, or white people, or maybe they just hate anybody who tells the truth and won't let them get away with all those feminist entitlements that they have grown so attached to. I don't know. I guess it just really says something about somebody's character when they orchestrate a gigantic lie, not doing so to necessarily get out of persecution, but to simply capitalize upon it, as if nobody will ever figure it out and they won't eventually look like the scum of the earth. The complete and utter hubris is just ridiculously annoying. It's like they think that everything and everybody in the entire world is on their side, so much that they can just exploit that trust to grab a little bit extra, as if nobody will notice their greed. And overconfidence like that never comes from a good place. Let that be a lesson to people on the side of this cultural debate that I'm on. I don't know, the free speech crowd. Let that be a lesson. Try not to get cocky. Free speech generally is only useful if you don't lie constantly.